we look at expansion time variables, which is an additional advanced macro facilities in addition to the conditional expansion statements like AF, AGO and sequencing symbols. Okay, so what are these expansion time variables? Suppose I wanted a statement within the macro to be repeated multiple times in the expansion, then I could use the concept of expansion time variables. Okay, so there are two kinds of expansion time variables. One is a local expansion time variable and the other is the global one. Okay, what is the difference between these two? We all know that there can be multiple macros in our program or in our assembly language program. So if you have declared a variable and it is of type expansion time, then and if it is local to that particular macro, then it is a local expansion time variable. But if that expansion time variable can be accessed by other macros also, then it is a global expansion time variable. It is very similar to the concept of local variable and a global variable in a C program. Local variable would simply mean local to the function in which it is defined, whereas global would simply mean that it is accessible to all the functions that are present in our code or program. So similarly, we have local expansion time variables, okay, that is local to the macro in which it has been defined, and whereas global expansion time variables would be the ones that can be accessed to all the macros, that which can be accessed by all the macros that are present in our code. Okay, so how do we declare these expansion time variables? Expansion time variables of local kind are declared as LCL followed by the EV specification. And how to write this EV specification? We will write ampersand followed by a name. Okay, and that name is nothing but an ordinary string. How many can we declare? We can declare as many as we want. So minimum 1, maximum as many number we want. Square bracket means optional. Now the other kind, which is global in nature, can be declared using this syntax called as GCL followed by EV specification. Again, how to write this EV specification? We have to write an ampersand followed by the name, where the name is an ordinary string. Okay, so this is how we can use how we can write expansion time variables. So these are advanced macro facilities which are used when we want a particular line within a macro to be repeated multiple times in an expansion. Okay, or during expansion. Okay, now how can we manipulate the value of this expansion time variables? We can manipulate them through a preprocessor statement called as set. So if you remember previously, I mentioned that a macro contains a prototype statement. So if you look at this example, this term called as constant, this line itself is a prototype statement which contains the name of the macro followed by any parameters, if any. So this macro does not contain any parameters at all. Okay, then it can contain these advanced macro facilities like LCL, right? It contains model statements like moveR, movem, add. Those model statements are nothing but statements which during expansion become assembly language statements, right? So and there was one more which was a preprocessor statement. So the set statement is an example for preprocessor statement that can appear in your macro body. Okay, so this here LCL ampersand A declares one expansion time variable, and the name of that variable is A, and it is local to this function which it is defined. So if there was an other macro, then it would not know the existence of this expansion time variable A. It is only known to this macro whose name is constant. Okay, now how do I associate values with this A? I use the set statement and I can write whatever value I want. I can associate it with whatever value I want to. So I have written here ampersand A set 1, which means that value of 1 will be associated with this expansion time variable 1. Now DB means declare a byte, and we are declaring 1 byte. That is our expansion time variable A. So initially it is set to 1, so I am declaring a byte of 1. Okay, then I can increment this value. Okay, how? Using a set statement. See here, I have written the expansion time variable on the left hand side followed by a set statement, and then I have ampersand a plus 1. So this will increment the value of a by 1, and then I'm declaring a byte. Okay, which is the byte now, because 1 gets incremented by 1, so the value is 2. So I'm declaring a byte of 2, and I have written, or we have reached the end of the macro. Right, now this is another example of using expansion time loops. Say, look, if you look at the macro written on the left hand side, so you've got this macro, we've got this prototype statement, okay, whose name is clear, and I wish to clear certain memory locations. Okay, suppose I wish to clear 3 memory locations. So how? Clear means initialize their value to 0. Then how would I write? First I would move the content of 0 to A register, and then I would move the content of A register into that memory word. Okay, so if I wanted to clear 3 memory locations, then I would have to write 3 move M statements. But if I wanted to clear 10 memory locations, then I'll have to write 10 lines of move M, where we'll have move M A register ampersand A plus 3, then move M A register ampersand A plus 4, and so on. But that is possible. But what if I wanted to clear 100 memory locations or 1000 memory locations? It is not feasible for us to write so many instructions. So a better way to write this macro is one that is placed on the right hand side, or one that is written on the right hand side. Okay, so if, for example, I wish to clear a memory word represented by B, and how many memory locations I wish to clear? 3. That is, I want to clear B, B plus 1 and B plus 2. If this was the requirement, then see, the macro could be rewritten as, see, the name of the macro is clear. It has 2 positional parameters, x and n, x representing the memory location I wish to clear, and n representing how many memory locations. Okay, so if I want to do this, I use the concept of expansion time variables, this LCL ampersand m. M is a local expansion time variable whose initial value is set to 0, which is a preprocessor statement. See, the statement move R A register comma equal to 0 is a model statement, right? A model statement containing ordinary string which represents itself during the expansion. Okay, and model statements are those statements for which you will get assembly language statements during expansion. Dot more is a sequencing symbol, and see, look at this one. This is a model statement, move M A register, okay, the X, the memory word that I wish to clear, okay, and I'm using the expansion time variable, okay, the value, whatever is the current value. Then I increment this expansion time variable by 1 using the set statement, and I check are that many memory locations cleared as that many required. Okay, so if it is not the case, then I will go to this line, that is this line where the sequencing symbol appears as a label. So I go to dot more and I will clear the next memory location. So once this condition becomes false, we'll go to the first statement following met. Right, so if for this macro call, for this macro, if I make this macro call called as clear B comma 3, it would mean I would want to clear 3 memory locations starting from that memory word represented by B. So X will take the value of B and N will take the value of 3. Okay, and then I have declared a local expansion time variable M whose initial value is set to 0. Okay, now this line is a model statement and will appear as a part of the expansion, so that's why it has come here, plus move M A register equal to 0. Now dot more, I told you, is a sequencing symbol. Sequencing symbol, preprocessor statements, expansion time variables do not become part of our expanded code. They are used for expansion. It is required for expansion, but they don't become part of our expanded code. So that's why you're not seeing any dot more, or you're not seeing set, or you're not seeing LCL statements within the expanded code. Okay, so you've got, then what would it do? It would move the contents of A register into this formal parameter is X, the actual value is B, so it would be plus 0 because initially the value of M is 0. So it is moving A contents of A register into B. Then it will increment the value of M by 1 using this preprocessor statement called set. Okay, so initially the value was 0, then the value becomes 1. Now I will check whether whether 1 is not equal to n is 3. So 1 is not equal to 3. If that is the case, I will jump to that line where dot more appears as a label. So it will go to this line. Again it will move the content, okay, that it will move A register value into B plus 1. B, how? Because X is the formal parameter, the actual value is B, M happens to be incremented by 1, okay, so that is the current value is 1, so that is why it is B plus 1, okay. So this will continue, okay, or lines will be included as long as this condition becomes true, okay. So I have done this using I have shown this over here in the next slide, okay. See how expansion takes place. I have taken the same macro over here, okay. So let's say I have already mentioned what is happening in this macro. I will just show you the expansion that occurs over here, okay. So initially you have start 100, which is written over here. Now I wish to clear, okay, a memory word represented by A. How many memory locations? 3 memory locations. So A plus 1 and A plus 2, okay. So initially X takes the value A and takes the value 3. So we understand that this is a macro call, okay. So here first it will declare an expansion time variable M, initial value is 0, okay. Now this is a model statement, move our A register equal to 0. So this becomes part of your expanded code over here, okay. Next it will go to move M A register. So move M A register X. X value is A, M value is 0. So this is A plus 0. Then it will go to the next line where it will increment the value of M by 1. So currently M becomes 1. Now it will check whether M is not equal to M. M value is 1 and N value is 3. So 1 is not equal to 3. So this is true. If it is true, go to that line where dot more appears as a label. So go to this line, and now we are going to write this line in the part of our expansion. So we'll write move M A register A plus 1. Okay, and then what will happen, we'll increment the value of M by 1. So M value becomes 2 now. Now when it is 2, check whether 2 is not equal to 3, which is correct. Go to that line where dot mode appears as a label. So it will go to this line. This line becomes part of our expanded code. So it becomes plus move M, that is A plus 2. Okay, and after that it will increment the value of M by 1, and in which case it will become 3. So the next is test whether M is not equal to N. So 3 is not equal to 3 will go false because 3 is equal to 3. So if it is false, I've told you that if the condition goes false, we go to the first line following that line that is meant. So we will stop the expansion over here. Okay, so if you look very clearly, the LCL statement, the set statement, the sequencing symbol, the AF statements do not become part of our expanded code. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether I change this value from A to 10 or whether I change the value from 3 to 10 or whether I change the value to 1000, the body of the macro would still contain the same number of lines. Okay, and this line will be repeated depending upon this particular condition. As long as this condition is true, it will go on executing this line, or it will make this line as part of your expanded code. Okay, so the same code, okay, but I can repeat a particular line more how many ever times I require. So if I want it 3 times the line, then 3 times the line will be written. If I want it 100 times, 100 times the line will be written. So these are the advanced macro facilities that your macro gives. Okay, so in addition to that, there are certain more things that you can have, like attributes of formal parameters. So formal parameters can be associated with attributes, and what kind of attributes we can have? We can have type, length and size. And for type we will write T, for length we will write L, and for size we will write S. So if you look at our macro DCL underscore constant, it has a single parameter ampersand A, which is a positional parameter parameter. AF is an advanced macro facility used for conditional expansion. Here see, I can check whether the length of A, the formal parameter A, is equal to 1. So when I make a macro call, I'm going to check whether the length of the actual value is equal to 1. If it is true, I have to go to that line where dot next appears as a label. Otherwise, I go to the first line following this AF statement. So like this way we can associate attributes with formal parameters. I can try type, okay, I can type size also. Right now, the other facility for conditional expansion is the REPT statement in your macro. So if you look at this particular macro, you will understand how REPT works. So I've got a macro whose name is constant 10. I have declared one expansion time variable of type ampersand m whose initial value is set to 1. Now when we write REPT 10, it means that all the lines that appear after this REPT, okay, and before this end m, so the line, that block of lines after that is after this word REPT and before this line end m will be repeated 10 times. Okay, so what will happen is DC, that means declare constant, it will declare the value. So initial value of m is 1, so it will declare a constant of 1. Okay, then it will set the value, it will increment the value of m by 1 using the set statement. So I've got 2, and I'm going to declare the second constant 2, and I'm going to declare then 3, 4 and 5, 6. How many times will I do it? I will do it 10 times. So all those lines that come after this REPT statement and before this end m will be repeated. How many times? This will be repeated 10 times. So this is how your REPT statement will work. So you have to write REPT and expression, and please remember expression should evaluate to a numerical value during expansion. Then there is another statement called IRP statement. Okay, so what does this do? It will make a parameter, that is formal parameter, take successive values from the argument list. Okay, and the statement between IRP, okay, and end m statement would be expanded once. Right, so it is not going to expand multiple times, just only once. But what does it actually do? So this is a macro called consts. Okay, there are 3 parameters, m, n and z, positional parameters. So when I write IRP, it means that ampersand z, okay, initially will take the value represented by m. That means when I'm doing expansion, okay, when we do an expansion, okay, suppose I make a macro call like this. Okay, suppose I make a macro call like consts, okay, and I write A and I write B, okay, and I write C. Okay, so what it will do is, first it will declare a constant, it will declare this constant z, that it will first declare A. Okay, it will declare A as, it will declare a constant z which is represented by this C. Okay, because it is saying that you please declare a constant, okay, which is represented by the actual value, or which is the actual value for z. So if I say, let's say that let's do it like this. Suppose I have a macro call like, okay, let's say if it is 2, okay, and then let's say if it is 3, okay, and then I will say, let's say z is A. So m will take the value 2, of course it's got to be a literal 2, n will take the value 3 and z will take the value A. So when I am having a statement like IRP, what it will do is, okay, in first z will take the value for m. What is m? It will take the value 2 and then it will declare it. Okay, so it declares a constant of 2. Then m will take the value 7 and it will declare the constant 7. Okay, and then z will take the value, okay, z will take the value 3 and it will declare 3. So, and this is how this IRP works. So what this IRP does is, this value z, okay, this parameter z, okay, will take these successive values of these parameters, that is m, 7 and n. So that is what I told you. So if m is 2, it is literal 2. Okay, so basically it has to be written like this. Okay, so if it has to be written like this. So if it is m is 2, okay, and then if you are having n as 3, okay, and z is a. Okay, so let's just take it like this. Okay, and if you have z as a, so here what it is doing, IRP statements, z will first take the value of m. So what is the value of m? 2, and it will declare a constant, okay, of 2, because I'm saying declare z. Okay, then it will take the value of 7. Okay, so that this shows that it need not be always a parameter, it can be any number that you can write, okay, in the IRP statement. Then it will declare a constant of 7, and then z will take the value of n, which is 3, and it will declare a constant of 3. So first it will declare 2, it will declare 7, and then it will declare 3, because these are the values represented for or these are the actual values for the parameter m, 7, and followed by n. So this is how IRP statement works. And one more thing over here is the semantic expansion. So what is semantic expansion? It is generating statements according to your requirement. Okay, so if I want to generate statements according to my requirement, I need to make use of advanced macro facilities like AIF and AGO. Okay, so this is an example of semantic expansion. So if you look here, I've got a macro whose name is create underscore constant. It has two parameters x and y. I'm checking if the type associated, this is the attribute, if the type associated with this parameter x is b, okay, then b means is equal to b, okay, that is byte, then please go to that line where dot byte appears as a label. So it will go here. That is no operation. Okay, this is also an advanced macro facility. Once after this line, it will go to the next line and it will declare this parameter to be of a byte, okay, 25. Okay, but if it is if the type associated with this formal parameter x okay is not a byte, then it will go and declare y as a word, and then it will jump to that line. Because of this echo statement, it will jump to that line where dot over appears as a label, so it will go to men. When I say I'm checking the type associated with the parameter x, that means during the macro call, okay, when I make a macro call, whatever actual value is passed. Okay, so if I pass this value over here, again for this also, okay, suppose I pass this value here. If I make a macro call called as create, if we make this macro call as create, okay, underscore constant, okay, and then I say a comma b, a comma b. So when I'm having this when I'm making this macro call, okay, x value will take the value x will take the value a and y will take the value b. I'm checking whether the type associated with this a is a byte. Okay, so I'm checking whether a is of type byte. If it is true, then it will go to that line where dot byte appears as a label. So here there is no operation, okay, and then it will go to the next line and it will declare y, which is b. It will say that b happens to be a byte, and it will declare a byte of 25. However, if that is not the case, if the type associated with a is not b, okay, then if it's not a byte, then it will declare y, that is our b. It will declare b as to be a data word of 25. So we are trying to, and then we go to the next line, which is a go dot over, go to that line where dot over appears as a label. So it will go to this line called as met. So basically we are simply trying to check the type associated with the first parameter. If it is of type byte, then the second parameter or second value, actual value, will be declared as a byte, or if that is not the case, then it will be declared as a word. So these are some of the advanced macro facilities, okay, that the macro can contain.